Hello, everyone, and welcome to Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimberley at Channels Television's global headquarters in Lagos, Nigeria. We're due for yet another very critical conversation of some national importance. I'm your humble pilot for this 30-minute drive around your world of politics. So stick around with me, everyone. I guess you will enjoy the conversation. Let's begin by telling you that Nigerians may have to brace up for a new price regime of petrol, as the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, says it cannot continue to bear the burden placed on it by the ongoing subsidization of the cost of petrol. NNPC Group Managing Director Mr. Mile Kiari says the burden is overwhelming and Nigerians will sooner or later have to pay the actual cost of petrol. He said the corporation can no longer bear the monumental cost, as market forces must be allowed to determine the pump price of petrol in the country in the nearest future, but he declines to give a specific date. Meanwhile, the Minister of State for Petroleum, Timi Peresiva, announced that the petroleum industry bill will be passed by April 2021.
Importing at market price, and we're selling at 162 naira per liter today. Looking at the current market situation, the actual price could have been anywhere between 211 that you have mentioned and around 234 naira to the liter. The meaning of this is that consumers are not paying for the full value of the PMS that we are consuming, and therefore somebody is bearing that cost. As we speak today, the difference is being carried in the books of NNPC, and I can confirm to you that NNPC may no longer be in position to carry that burden.
Well, you heard the MD of the NNPC there. It's been a conversation that the nation has been having over whether or not we need to continue to pay subsidy. But a lot of experts have said it is not sustainable. We need to plow the money into some other things of infrastructure development or some other areas of our lives. Well, we have more stories for you on our political roundup.
The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Mr. Femi Gbajabiamila, says police officers who give the force a bad name must be weeded out to prevent them from tarnishing the hard work of the good ones. Mr. Gbajabiamila believes that a great number of policemen are good and should not be spoiled by the bad ones. He made this known at a public hearing organized by the House Committee on Police Affairs on 2 bills to reform the police. An Akwa Ibom State High Court sitting in Iko-Lekpene has convicted Professor Peter Ogba of the University of Uyo on a 2-count charge bordering on falsification of election results and announcing fake results in the February 2019 Northwest Senatorial District election. The presiding justice, Augustine Odoko, ordered him to pay a fine of 100,000 naira on the first count and then sentenced him to 3 years imprisonment on the second count. Professor Ogba, who served as a collation and returning officer, was accused of trying to rig the 2019 Akwa Ibom Northwest Senatorial District election. Members of the Igbo Leadership Foundation, which is a pro-Igbo president group for 2023, is asking the People's Democratic Party to trash the Governor Bala Mohammed-led committee report, which recommends the scrapping of zoning in the 2023 general election. Speaking at the briefing in Abuja, the chairman of the group insists that any political party or individual who wants the unity of the country must support the efforts to have a president from the southeast come 2023.
Since power has resided in the north for 2 straight terms, it has to move south, specifically the southeast, in the spirit of rotation and zoning, which has been in practice in Nigeria since we returned to the present democratic dispensation in 1999.
And now you're up to date with some of your top political stories. It's time for us now to talk about the biggest political story in the land as of now. The governor of Borno State, Babagana Zulum, is calling for a power shift to southern Nigeria in the next election cycle. He gave his views earlier today when delivering the Golden Jubilee Lecture on Security and Economic Growth at a book launch of Strategic Turnaround, a book written by the former Director General of the Nigerian Maritime and Safety Agency, Mr. Dakuko Peterside in Abuja. But the different political forces in the country appears to be gearing up for the race of 2023. The PDP clarified that it has not yet decided on the rotation for 2023. The APC has since set up a strategic committee called the Contact and Strategy Committee to be led by the governor of Jigawa State, Abubakar Badaru. Meanwhile, a new political movement called the National Conscience Front, led by the likes of former House of Reps Speaker Gali Naba, Professor Paul Tutomi, and some other eminent Nigerians have criticized the ruling APC in a statement they released today. They said, there is a serious crack and bottled up tension within the APC, which according to them is occasioned by what they described as formidable disenchantment with the imposition of the undemocratic caretaker committee and its ongoing divisive membership revalidation exercise, as well as a disappointing lackluster performance of the Buhari presidency. Those are the words of the NCF. They went further to say, quote, the APC will most likely implode and scatter before the end of this year, 2021, and fizzle into oblivion, end of quote. But tonight, we have the governor, Abubakar Badaru, the chairman of the APC Contact and Strategy Committee, a 61-member committee just inaugurated by the party's caretaker committee. Governor Badaru joins us from our Abuja studio tonight. Thank you, Your Excellency, for joining us tonight on the program. And let me get your view straight away from what this group, the NCF, has said. The statement of that political group of eminent Nigerians about the ongoings in your political party and the predictions they've made that your party might disintegrate this year. What are your views on that?
Well, thank you for having me. It's good you said might. They said might, but I believe APC is strong and continue to be strong. And you can see from the registration exercise, we have started with cards for 12 million members. And because of the demand, we extended to 36 million members. And most of these cards have been subscribed, and members are still asking for registration. And you can see formidable politicians that are trooping into our party. And they have been in politics for a very long time. And how can they say APC will explode with the kind of people that are joining the party? I believe APC is strong and will continue to be stronger. And by special grace of God, we will deliver 2023.
Well, they gave some reasons for their predictions. I'm talking about the NCF when they said that your party might disintegrate. Only yesterday, the presidency came out to defend the relationship between President Buhari and the APC leader Bola Tinubu. But it appears that there's some internal troubles in your party. Do you fear this may be tearing your party apart? Although we understand that there are moves to ensure that the party does not collapse. But it does look like there are major internal squabbles, isn't it?
No, there is none. There is none. And I think people wanted to see that, and that will not happen. And that was what was depended yesterday. I believe it is all politics, and you have been too old on these decks to understand this kind of game where people create stories and circulate stories that are not there, that have no substance. President Muhammad Buhari, Bola Tinubu, and all the leaders of the party speak with one voice, and I believe whoever push that story about Tinubu and President Muhammad Buhari is just putting story to certainly hit the polity, but it's not true. We are in the picture. We know what is going on. We know that the party is one and one indivisible party, and everybody and all the stakeholders are being carried along, and by special grace of God, you will see in our next congresses and convention. Certainly, you will see the number of people that will join the party, and you will see that we are all one and will continue to be one.
So, I mean, it's interesting that you mentioned that, because that prediction of the NCF was predicated on about three things. One, they talked about the caretaker committee, which according to them, they believe that that is an imposition according to them. They also mentioned the issue of revalidation, that the party wanted to revalidate itself by getting the revalidation exercise and the registration process. Also, they mentioned the performance of your party, which according to them, they said is not tenable to Nigerians. These are some of the issues they have raised, and they are asking a question that post-Buhari era, your party might not be able to withstand the political pressure in the country.
No, it will certainly do. The membership registration and indeed the caretaker were well received. And if you remember at the time when the caretaker were appointed, there was jubilation around the party. And every party member was happy with that development. And as far as we know, the party has done wonderfully well. President Muhammad Buhari has done wonderfully well. People forget. People don't look at history, or they forget easily. At 2015, when Buhari comes into power, there were almost 27 states that were not paying salaries. Everything was down. Crude oil prices dropped to about 28, 29, 30 per barrel. And the production was also cut to almost 500,000 barrels per hectare. This is the economy that President Muhammad Buhari inherited. To about 260 roads with no single contractor on site. This is what he inherited. And look at what is happening today. All the roads infrastructure are being fixed, and all contractors are backed on site on those about more than 260 roads. And additional roads were being awarded, and contractors are still on site and working. This is incredible. The same thing goes to railway, social intervention program, agriculture, and so much has happened with the meager resources that is coming into the force of the government, occasioned by the drop in oil prices. Look at what is happening. All economists will tell you that we have done remarkably well with the kind of resources that we have. Don't forget, Nigeria depends solely on oil. Same situation in Venezuela, but their own situation is far worse than that of Nigeria. We were hit with the same problem. And we have carried ourselves credibly well. And 27, like I said, 27, more than 27 states were not paying salary at 2015 when President Buhari comes into power. He bailed out all the states and continue to support the state, continue to support the infrastructure. The social intervention program is remarkable, ranging from Empower, cash transfer, money, trader money, market money, and all the support. School feeding program is unbelievably good. He has done so well given the circumstances that we find ourselves. And for anybody to say that there is no performance, maybe he did not read history or is not following on what is happening in this country.
We're due for a break now, Governor, but when we come back, I'd like you to, because performance and perception, and of course, how that transmits into the food on the table of an average Nigerian, that is another kettle of fish altogether. But we take a break, and when we come back, we continue our conversation with the Governor of Jigawa State, Abubakar Badaru. Join us again, everyone.
I, Professor Babagana Umarazulu, had advocated for power shift to the south. And will continue to do so. And mind you, nobody should think that I'm saying this one because I'm looking for vice president. I don't have any interest. I don't have any interest of becoming the president of the nation now, nor the vice president. Let the southerners compete among themselves. be it from the south-south or the southeast or south-south, as far as I'm concerned, this is something that we need to do. The restructuring that people are speaking will never solve the problem. If you structure devolution of powers, give more powers to states, having the state police, among others, will not solve the problem. The most important thing that we need to do is to see how we can holistically tackle the security situation in the nation.
Welcome back, everyone, to the program. Let's get back to the conversation with Governor Abubakar Badaru, Governor of Jigawa State and the chairman of the APC 61-member committee of the Contact and Strategy. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for your time tonight. Quickly, I'd like you to tell us this. Performance and how it affects the lives of people. I mean, if you say you're performing and the people perhaps are seeing something different, it's a major problem, isn't it? And so I'd like you to tell Nigerians, based on the promises that the APC government made in 2015 and in 2019 elections, if you were to rate the performance based on how Nigerians are receiving your works as the APC-led federal government, from 10 being the highest, from 1 to 10, how would you rate your party, APC?
Well, I told you about the situation President Muhammad Buhari found himself in. He inherited an economy that is almost collapsing. Coupled to that situation, oil prices dropped and pipelines were vandalized. Production dropped to 500,000 barrels a day. And that culminated to serious problem. And that is, at that time, the world recession, world problem. All countries that are one monoproduct, those that depend on petroleum as foreign exchange earner, run into serious problem. Like I've said, we have done wonderfully well. We have done better than Venezuela, given the same scenario. And let me tell you this. When we came in, most of what we consume and what we use is being imported. And suddenly, the money we earn, the dollar we earn, dropped by more than 2/3. And that will not be enough to cater for our import. And there was no reserve to go back to and fund that import. How else can we solve the problem? How? The money dropped significantly by 2/3. The foreign reserve dropped by 2/3, and meanwhile, we are import dependent. And we cannot borrow dollars, and we don't have reserve to go back to. And there are so many importers looking for dollars. Well, there is scarce dollars in the market. That will certainly have to push prices. And no miracle can change the process of demand and supply. And that is what happened. Is it the fault of Buhari that oil prices drop? We have to be fair. We have to judge on the context of the situation. The situation was rough and tense, and he navigated us through it pretty well. So what you see on the table, you can compare with what is happening in Venezuela today, and you will see that he has done credibly well with the situation we find ourselves. So that is why we said he has done credibly well, APC has done credibly well with the situation that we find ourselves.
I mean,
coupled to that economic fall down, then there was also this COVID that dropped oil prices also significantly well.
Your Excellency,
started to get out of recession, that comes in again. So,
I was going. I know it's a difficult one to judge yourself and to grade yourself as a political party, but I asked you anyway if you could do that, at least for Nigerians to have a sense of what you have done and perhaps how you, as a political party, are seeing yourself. But again, the security situation in the country, Governor, is very disturbing. And it's a major promise of your party that you are going to fix when you were campaigning. Are you worried that some Nigerians may be doubting the ability of the political leadership of the country as it is presently constituted in handling the challenge?
Benga, the situation with security is completely a topic that we will have to take for almost 1 hour. But let me give you this. Before Buhari, there are bombings everywhere. In Kano, in the UN office in Abuja, everywhere. And since he came in, that has ceased. So many local governments in the hands of Boko Haram. And that has gone also. And right now, the major issue on Boko Haram is centered around Maiduguri and some little part of Yobe and Adamawa. That has been reduced significantly. And do you remember those days that you don't go to the market thinking of being bombed? You don't go to churches thinking of being bombed? You don't go to mosques thinking of being bombed? That is all over now. But of course, we now face another problem. That has been brewing for all these years. The Fulani headsmen crisis with the farmers has been brewing for so many years. And that developed over time because of the neglect of the past leaders. And unfortunately for us, it gets ripe at this time. And President Muhammad Buhari is doing his best to solve this problem and to curtail and reduce the onslaught.
Governor, there are a few...
If we look at this critically and analyze it critically, certainly the banditry and the kidnapping did not start with Buhari. It just continued.
All right, Governor, let me then get your views on, because we have little time left, but just in maybe 5 seconds, if you can just answer yes or no, because some people in your party have said, President Buhari is the best thing that's happened to Nigeria since our independence as a leader. Do you also hold that view?
Certainly, I agree with that. Given the circumstances we have now, I believe 100%. I'm a state governor. I know what I'm inherited. I know the trouble I go through. I know at one time I even want to leave. Really. Without the support of President Muhammad Buhari, we couldn't have raised our head up as governors. If you remember, he bailed out all the states, give 18 months support for us to pay salary, all the governors. He paid the Paris Club money for us to do infrastructure. Give us infrastructure loan, pay us so much and so many support by the president, without which we couldn't have been this good.
Yeah, let me quickly. In the remaining time that we have, I have about 3 more questions, and I understand that we have just about 1.5 minutes. If you could help me on that. The Committee on Contact and Strategy, which you are heading, is a 61-member committee. The party on 2 days ago said it's to help rebuild and reposition the party ahead of 2023 election. It sounds like an open-ended task given to you and your committee. Can you tell us if it's exactly to help your party retain power in 2023?
Well, first of all, to contact more and more members to join the party, that is one. 2, also to make peace between party members, to be sure that our congresses and convention comes off really smooth and free. and engage party members that have, some issues and resolve them and make sure we are one solid that we believe we are. And the job is not too much, really. It's just contact, bringing in more and more people. And the same way you see people joining us, we want to keep the momentum.
So, your friend and colleague, the governor of Borno State, Professor Zulum, has said power should go to the south. Do you subscribe to his stance?
Well, I am in the strategy committee that will look into these issues. So at this point, if you had asked me 1 month ago, I would have told you my position. But as I'm the chairman of the strategy committee, I cannot probably say my own personal views until after discussion with the committee members and the party leaders and agree on way forward. I don't want to preempt what will come from the committee.
So we have just about 30 seconds, Governor Badaru. If you can tell us, the PDP is gearing up. They are aiming to remove you from power. There are other opposition forces that are also working that they want to remove APC from power at the center in 2023. Do you think you have what it takes to retain power in 2023? Just in 30 seconds.
Well, I don't see the gearing up of PDP. Even last week we have the former governor of Ogun State that joined us, who happens to be also the DG campaign of Atiku in 2019 elections. People are leaving PDP to join APC. And the honesty and sincerity of purpose, that is what will help us retain power in 2023.
Governor Abubakar Badaru, the chairman of the APC Contact and Strategy Committee and the governor of Jigawa State, it's a good pleasure to have you tonight and talking to us on Channels Television.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me.
Well, that's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Kimale. Bye-bye.